Hello, I'm Lizzie, and I'm going to share with you today a poetry collection that contains some of the poems from my own inner anthology. So these poems mean a lot to me for various different reasons. So the collection is called Being Alive, and it's edited by Neil Astley. And just picking a couple of poems from this collection was so difficult because so many of them could go towards my own inner anthology, and there are so many phenomenal poems in it. And if you have the opportunity to pick up a copy of Being Alive and explore it, I would really encourage you to do so. And you might find some poems that go towards your own inner anthology. And the two that I've selected, one I have encountered before I got the collection, and seeing it in this anthology really was the thing that made me sort of buy it and want to look through it more, and made me really curious about what else was alongside it in this. And the second poem is one that I was brought to through following that curiosity. I had never read it before, and this anthology really gave it to me. So I'm really excited to share them both with you today. And the anthology as well, Being Alive, is on the Reader bookshelf, Walking the Earth. And if you're not sure what that is, you could head over to the Reader website where there's lots of details about the Reader bookshelf. So I'm going to share Love After Love first, because it was the one I knew beforehand. And Love After Love by Derek Walcott. And this was a poem that has been in my life for a long time, and every time I come to it, it gives me both a sense of familiarity but also like a newness. It does seem to speak to a different part of me nearly every time I read it. And what I love about this poem is that there is that combination of gentleness and strength and celebration, but also understanding. There's so much in this. The beginning of it, the first line is "the time will come." And even in that first line, there's almost like an acknowledgement that that time might not be now. You might not be ready for what it goes on to say now. And even from that, there's a sense of comfort for me, or something stronger than that, an acknowledgement that actually, when the poem says feast on your life, that might seem impossible depending on where you're at, which is really lovely for me to have that in the first line. So I'll read a couple of lines from this poem. Love after love. The time will come when, with elation, you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. So there's a point in your life where you're a stranger to yourself, but then there's that promise in the poem, you will love again. And those are just the first few lines, but the poem ends with this really gentle invitation to sit and feast on your life. And that's Love After Love by Derek Walcott. And like I said, the second poem is a poem that exploring this anthology brought me to. And it's one of those poems where it is just a pleasure and a joy to read it or to hear it. There's something really almost tangible about this poem, that it just invites you into the experience that it's talking about, which is the joy of peaches, eating a peach, and the succulent peaches we devour, dusty skin and all. And I'm just going to read a few lines from this. Oh, and this is from Blossoms by Young Lee. Oh, to take what we love inside, to carry within us an orchard, to eat not only the skin, but the shade, not only the sugar, but the days, to hold the fruit in our hands, adore it, then bite into it, then bite into the round jubilance of peach. I almost want to bite into the air when I read that line. The round jubilance of peach. And that's just a few lines from the middle of that poem. So as the same with Love After Love, if you can grab a copy of From Blossoms, I would really, really encourage you to do so. It is, for me, a real joy to read this poem. It gives me a smile and makes me want to search out really amazing peaches. But also says something about those moments that seem to sort of stretch or exist outside of time, which don't last forever, but are just moments of pleasure, and this is almost a tangible version of that. So that's From Blossoms by Young Lee, and those were my two poems from my inner anthology.